stay home, Master Ortiz said to Marco and Christina. He wouldn't make them go with him because it wasn't necessary. Although Serena's father had a family relationship with the Ortiz family, he wasn't close to Marco and Christina, so they didn't need to visit him. All right, agreed Marco and Christina. After that, Master Ortiz and the others set off. Ariana and Ava shared a car with Master Ortiz, so there wasn't enough room for guards. The chauffeur was driving the car, and Ava sat in the front passenger seat, while Ariana and Master Ortiz sat in the back. Luckily, Ariana and Ava were there, so we didn't actually need security guards. Either of them could fight dozens of security guards on their own. In Carlos's car, in addition to the chauffeur, there was also a bodyguard sitting in the front passenger seat. Carlos and Serena were in the rear. It wasn't rush hour, so they had a smooth ride along the way, apart from spending some time at traffic lights. About 20 minutes later, they reached the hospital where Master Serrano was staying. He had been taken to the hospital 10 minutes ago, and a doctor immediately gave him medical attention. He had indeed had a stroke, and he was in critical condition. He needed an operation at once, but the doctor told his family not to have much hope. It was very dangerous, and he might not be able to survive. The Serrano family was extremely sad to hear that, but they couldn't do anything about it. They could only rely on the doctor to do his best. After that, Ariana secretly told Master Ortiz to help Master Serrano take 2 pills right away. In that case, the medicine would start working, and Master Serrano's condition could improve before the operation. That way, the operation would be less dangerous. Because the operation had to be carried out as soon as possible, there wasn't much time for Master Serrano to recover. Plus, there were too many people around, so Ariana couldn't directly put her magical power into his body. It would cause unnecessary trouble. Without delay, Master Ortiz walked to Master Serrano's wife, Gloria, and explained, "I have a medicine that can stop the illness from getting worse and make the operation less dangerous. Are you willing to trust me? If you trust me, I can help your husband take it. If not, I won't force you. Didn't you ask me before about how my health improved so suddenly? I told you it was a nutritional supplement, but that's not all I'm taking. I am also taking this unbelievably effective medicine. It's just very rare, and there isn't much of it, so I don't take it out unless there is a serious illness. I'm not forcing you to do anything, I just want you to believe me." Although Master Ortiz wanted to help them, he wouldn't force anyone to take this medicine. He needed to ask about Master Serrano's opinion. If his family was unwilling to use this medicine, he would have to take the blame if any accidents happened. When Gloria and the other members of the Serrano family heard Master Ortiz's words, they were surprised and doubtful. They weren't suspicious of him, but they doubted whether this medicine could really be so effective. A single pill could help someone become healthier, and it could also stop Master Serrano's illness from getting worse. It could even make the operation less dangerous. It sounded unbelievable. Anyway, even though they doubted whether this medicine could be helpful for Master Serrano, they didn't think that Master Ortiz would harm him. Besides, the doctor said that Master Serrano might not survive this time, so it might be their last chance. As a result, they decided to try it. Perhaps Master Serrano could get better after taking this medicine. "Mr. Ortiz, I trust you," stated Gloria with determination. Even though she had doubts, she wouldn't show it. After all, Master Ortiz was just being kind. Gloria had a very important position in the Serrano family, so nobody said anything after she made the decision. In fact, they had the same opinion as her, and all chose to believe Master Ortiz. After that, Master Ortiz helped Master Serrano take 2 of the power crystals. The attending physician didn't dare to stop him because of his status. In addition, Master Serrano's family agreed to use the medicine, so he couldn't say anything. Therefore, after Master Ortiz helped him take the 2 power crystals, Master Serrano was pushed into the operation room. A group of people waited outside anxiously. At first, the attending physician didn't believe in the effect of this medicine. He only believed that Master Ortiz wouldn't hurt other people. However, when they did the operation, they found out Master Serrano was in a stable condition and that nothing wrong showed on the ECG. Given Master Serrano's condition, the attending physician had to believe that it was the effect of as she answered, the man on the other side of the phone joked, "Oh, what a surprise. You finally called me." Dauphine didn't respond to that and stated, "I need to talk about something with you. Where are you right now?" "I just finished cultivating deep in the mountains and wild forest. I'm a bit far from Los Angeles. Why? What do you want to talk to me about?" asked the man. "I need you to deal with two people for me. I think one of them is at the peak of the golden core stage, while the other is probably in the early stage of the yin-yang period," said Dauphine. "What did they do to you?" asked the man. "They're Astor's ex-wife's daughter, Ava, and her son," answered Dauphine. "Ava? Isn't she already dead? How is she alive again?" the man asked in amazement. He knew about her and was surprised that she was still alive, but he didn't think it was a big deal that she was only in the early stage of the yin-yang period. He was at a higher level than that. "She survived, so she wants to get revenge. In order to stop her, I need you to kill her and her son," ordered Dauphine, her eyes glowing menacingly. "Sure, but I need to see you before that. Where are you right now?" asked the man. Dauphine paused, then answered, "I'm in Los Angeles. I'll send you an address. Go there and wait for me. I'll arrive in LA in about 3 hours," stated the man. Fine, Dauphine agreed. Since she needed him to help her kill Ava, she had to satisfy his needs. After all, her relationship with him wasn't what she told Astor. He didn't just owe her a favor. A minute after she hung up, Dauphine received a message from him. It was the address of a house located in a suburb of Los Angeles. It was the evil immortal's temporary abode when he came to the city. He chose a place away from other people to prevent other immortals from finding him. Actually, he was at a high level now, and average immortals wouldn't notice him. This was just his temporary abode, and he only spent 2 months here at most during the year. But he loved a quiet place, so he chose to stay away from the crowd. Although he was away from it most of the time, the house was cleaned regularly. Therefore, it was always ready for him. After reading his message, Dauphine packed up and went there. Although the man wasn't in the house yet, she would rather go there earlier and wait for him. exploded. Dauphine happened to be passing by and saw that he was struggling, so she intervened. After she saved him, he told her that he owed her a favor, and she could ask him to do anything in the future. Even if she needed him to kill someone, he would do whatever he could do. Dauphine found him attractive, so she stayed with him and helped him recover for a few days. During that time, they were intimate with each other as well. She enjoyed herself during that time, but she was already married and had a family, so she had to leave after a while. Darius didn't stop her. In the following 10 years, they rarely met up, because Dauphine didn't need his help. Sometimes, when she went to the mortal world, she would call Darius back if he had called her, and if they had a chance, they would sleep together. They had only slept with one another just over a dozen times, but it was still an affair. Aster didn't know about it. Otherwise, he would surely kill Dauphine. Back in the room, Dauphine realized that she had lost her manners when she heard Darius's words. She immediately made a face and asked, "Why didn't you put on any clothes?" "Why should I? We'll have to take them off in a while anyway. Why bother?" Darius replied, smiling with lust. Dauphine also grinned seductively, and Darius walked over to her, pulled her close to him. He kissed her, and started fondling her body. Without delay, he roughly undressed Dauphine. Although she was hot, she took great care of her skin, so she was still attractive to men. "You've taken good care of yourself," Darius remarked, as he caressed Dauphine's back. Hearing his compliment, Dauphine was pleased, but she frowned slightly. She wasn't at a high level, so it wasn't easy for her to keep in shape. Knowing what she was thinking, Darius continued, "In fact, I can help you be more efficient during cultivation. I have a trick you can use. I know you're unwilling to become an evil immortal, so this isn't an evil thing, but it's not very acceptable for good immortals. But if you're willing to have a try, I can help you. If not, just forget it." Upon hearing that, Dauphine's eyes lit up. As an immortal, she undoubtedly wanted to cultivate faster. However, Darius said it wasn't acceptable for good immortals, so she gave up after thinking for a while. "I do want to be more efficient, but I still want to be a good immortal," she replied. She had a family, so she wouldn't take risks easily. Since Dauphine was reluctant to do it, Darius wouldn't force her to. After all, he only owed her a favor, but he didn't have a special affection for her. He had countless women, and most of them were more fun than Dauphine. He slept with her when she came to ask him for help, simply because she was available. For a long time, Dauphine hadn't felt the pleasure of making love, because she was sick of Aster. Darius sensed that, and he grinned and said, "It seems that Aster can't satisfy your needs." He was very proud of his own abilities. "Don't mention him right now," replied Dauphine disdainfully. Aster indeed couldn't satisfy her needs, but she didn't dare to talk to him about that. "Haha, then let me satisfy you today," laughed Darius. They had long, passionate love-making sessions until daybreak, then fell asleep together. Dauphine was greatly satisfied, but also hated Aster more than ever. They slept for 3 hours, and the sky soon became bright. They woke up, but didn't get out of bed right away. Instead, they got intimate again for another 2 hours. Both of them were immortals, so they were stronger than ordinary people. They only felt a little tired after making love for 2 hours. "When will you go back?" Darius asked Dauphine. "I originally planned to leave after speaking to you," responded Dauphine, making it obvious that she changed her mind now. "How about now?" asked Darius with a vague smile. He obviously knew what Dauphine was implying, so he gazed at her meaningfully. "When will you leave?" asked Dauphine instead. She changed the subject, but she hoped that Darius would beg her to stay. "After killing those who you want me to kill," responded Darius. Dauphine was silent. He didn't tell her to stay, so she didn't know what to say. "You haven't answered my question yet," continued Darius. He knew that she wanted to stay, and he would be in Los Angeles for the following days. It would be a good thing if he had an available woman in his arms. Therefore, if Dauphine wanted to stay, he would be happy. "Well, since you already agreed to help, I should go now," snapped Dauphine in a fit of irritation. If Darius didn't want her to stay, she wouldn't. After all, they weren't a proper couple. "Why don't you stay here for a few more days?" asked Darius, with a seductive smile on his lips. He deliberately asked that, should I? She asked. Since Aster can't satisfy your needs, won't you feel sad if you leave without being completely satisfied? Smirked Darius. Fine, but you must be willing to satisfy me first, insisted Dauphine. Although she felt slightly embarrassed saying it aloud, Darius's words were indeed correct. Of course I'm willing to, said Darius, which filled Dauphine with excitement. It meant he wanted her to stay. Therefore, she didn't rush to go back to the world of immortals. Aster had no idea that his wife was sleeping with another man behind his back. She had been in the mortal world for 4 days without coming back, so he wondered whether she successfully contacted the evil immortal. He couldn't help but worry a little. If she couldn't get into contact with the evil immortal, what would they do? After having lunch, Darius and Dauphine got into it again, and Darius didn't leave until 3 o'clock p.m. He had learned information about Henry and Ava from Dauphine, so now he left to find them. He went to the Ortiz family's house first, but neither Henry nor Ava were there. Therefore, he decided to head directly to his military base, in hopes of finding him there. Coincidentally, Henry was traveling back to Los Angeles from the military base on his own at this time. When he was driving in the mountains, Darius found him. When Darius saw Henry, he was slightly surprised, because Henry wasn't in the Golden Core stage, but the Yin-Yang period. It turned out that Eva's son was a really talented immortal. At such a young age, he had already reached the Yin-Yang period. As soon as Henry saw Darius, he became alert, because he could tell that this evil immortal was at a higher level than him. He was alert, but wasn't scared, so he directly got out of his car and went to face him. Young man, you are talented. At such a young age, you've already reached a high level, Darius complimented. He was being very honest. After all, he had never seen anyone else reach the Yin-Yang period at such a young age. However, that wouldn't stop him from killing Henry. Thank you for your compliment, Henry replied, without any sincerity. Unfortunately, such a talented immortal will be destroyed today, Darius remarked with an evil grin. He didn't seem sorry at all. Do it now. No need to waste time, challenged Henry. Even though he didn't have much confidence that he could defeat the evil immortal, he refused to be a coward. Oh, are you eager to die? Darius sneered. Henry was at a lower level than him, but still dared to challenge him. He was so naive. Let's see who will die in the end, retorted Henry coldly. Fine, young man. Since you have a death wish, I'll make your wish come true, shouted Darius. The next moment, he attacked Henry. Given his level, he didn't think that Henry would stand a chance against him. Henry fought back right away. Because it was a battle between 2 high-level immortals, the trees around them were badly damaged. Luckily, they were in a remote place near the mountains, so no one was nearby. Henry fought against Darius for 20 minutes, but he still seemed to have strength, which surprised Darius. He also felt Henry's unbelievable explosive force whenever he attacked him. However, only Henry knew that he was losing strength. When they went deeper into the mountains, Henry let the sea monster out. It was obvious that he couldn't win, so he wouldn't try to fight against Darius alone. Although the sea monster was weaker than Darius, there wasn't a huge gap between them. It would probably lose if it fought against Darius alone, but they could team up. Darius didn't expect to see a powerful sea monster suddenly appear at Henry's side. It was quite strong, so Darius had to be careful. Once the sea monster joined him, Henry felt much more relaxed. However, it wasn't easy for them to defeat Darius, even when they worked together. After all, this evil immortal was at a high level, probably in the out-of-body stage. The battle continued from the day to the night, but there was still no winner. Both sides had lost a lot of energy. However, it was a battle of life and death, so no one was willing to stop. Because Ariana and Ava didn't know that Henry would be coming back to Los Angeles today, they had no idea that he had run into Darius. Both of them felt a little anxious, but they didn't know why. They both had a feeling that something was wrong. Due to the anxiety in her heart, Ariana called back to Flores and asked about her recently. She did Flores nearly every day because decided to escape. If he was injured or killed, many people who loved him would be heartbroken. Besides, the road was failing yet. He had to stay safe. As a result, Henry seized the chance and immediately took out his magical sword. He put the sea monster back into his infinite pouch, then flew away on the flying sword. Seeing that, Darius snorted. "Do you want to run away? No way." Then he promptly took out his sword as well and chased Henry. Darius was at a high level, so it couldn't be easier for him to fly with the sword. In addition, he didn't need any space to put away his sword. Instead, it was already a part of his body. It merged with his soul. He could get it out with a thought, which was much more convenient than Henry's infinite pouch. However, it was difficult to merge a sword with a body or soul. For good immortals, they had to reach levels higher than the out-of-body stage. Even Ava couldn't do that yet. After all, she just reached the out-of-body stage, and whether she could reach a higher level depended on her talent or not. Darius's level was higher than Henry's, so he flew faster than Henry as well. Before long, he caught up with him. Neither of them could fight their best in the air. Henry wanted to fly down, or he would be injured sooner or later, because his level was higher, and he had enough experience in fighting while flying. Over time, Henry was losing strength. Hit him with a strong force, and he fell. Once Henry fell, the sea monster take it out. Even if he was out of strength, or even unconscious, he would be fine by keeping his head out of the water. Without delay, the sea monster pulled Henry up while swimming to the surface. However, when they were only 5 yards away from the surface, the sea monster suddenly lost all of his strength. He could barely swim a foot farther, and softly sank downward instead. Master, I'm sorry, I can't swim up, the sea monster groaned, then exhausted himself and passed out. Henry didn't blame the sea monster at all. On the contrary, he was very grateful for his help. If it hadn't been for the sea monster, he wouldn't have been able to survive in the ocean. In fact, he felt guilty that because of him, the sea monster suffered great injuries. Henry had no strength to open the infinite pouch and put the sea monster into it. Even if he had enough strength to do that, he wouldn't, because the sea monster wouldn't drown after sinking in the ocean. As long as he had enough rest, he would wake up again. However, if he put it into the infinite pouch right now, the sea monster might be kept inside forever if Henry died and no one found him. Therefore, both Henry and the sea monster sank to the bottom of the ocean, both of them unconscious. At this time, it was 11 o'clock p.m., and Ariana was about to go to bed in the bungalow. She wanted to have a drink before she lay down, so she poured a glass of water. Just as she finished pouring the water, the glass suddenly slipped out of her hand. It shattered, which startled her. She held the glass steadily. It shouldn't have slipped. However, somehow it fell, and she had a premonition that something bad must have happened. The first person who came to Ariana's mind was Henry. When she realized that he must be in trouble, she felt nervous and could barely breathe. Without hesitation, she took out her phone to call him, but failed to get through to him. At that moment, she became more worried and decided where to find Ava. Meanwhile, Ava had the same bad feeling as Ariana. She suddenly found it hard to breathe normally. Immortals often had a special connection to their loved ones. If any of their family members were in danger, they would have a strong reaction and accurately know who was in trouble. Therefore, Ava believed that it must be Henry. She didn't want anything bad to happen to her son, but she was extremely uncomfortable. She even wanted to cry. Once she had these feelings, Ava called him, but like Ariana, she failed to get through to him. Afterwards, she walked out of her room, planning to talk to Ezekiel about it. As soon as Ava opened the door to Ariana's room was also open. It seems that Ariana had the same feelings as her. Ava, Ariana explained, quickly walking over. Let's go see Ezekiel right now, ordered Ava. She knew that Ariana had the same worries as her, so she didn't bother to say much. Okay, agreed Ariana. Then they went to Ezekiel's room at once.